Here's how we hit a 38% show up rate on cold webinar campaigns. And in this video, you're going to learn how you can do this too, okay? We're going to talk about why you should care about show up rates, how you can get in front of your leads, all the different show up mechanisms that are there. And we're going to talk about what your show up sequence copy should be about, the exact frequency you should use. So like literally everything you need to make sure you can hit those 38% show up rates, even a bit more, as you can see over there on your cold webinar campaigns too. And if you're currently running a call funnel, if you've never run a webinar before, this will apply for you as well, because you can literally leverage all these insights that you're going to learn today as well for your VSL funnel, for your call funnel, even if you're hosting a live event, right? Like literally for everything. So let us dive right in. First of all, as you can see over there, that's our proof. We had a 38.5% show up rate on a completely cold traffic. So this wasn't a retargeting audience. This wasn't even the Meta Andromeda retargeting, because these guys literally had no warm traffic, right? It was a completely cold audience. And it was in the European market, which is by default much more skeptical than the market in the United States, right? This webinar has generated us an 8.3x ROAS. And the big lever, a big reason for that was our show up sequence system, okay? So why does having a show up system matter, you might be asking? Well, it's the second biggest lever in your lead journey. And if we look at the lead journey, you can see we have our traffic acquisition. So assuming this grid over here is our ad, and then we get a lead to opt in for a webinar, then the next touch point would be basically a webinar presentation. The next one would be our call, if you're selling it on a high ticket offer, right? Or we go directly to checkout. And essentially, you have different systems, different best practices within these different milestones in our lead journey. For example, over there, our ad to opt in is a traffic acquisition system. It's our messaging, right? Then we have our show up system between the opt in and the actual registration. And then we have our conversion system, basically the entire presentation, the entire conversion from presentation to actual call, which, to be very clear, also contains another show up system, especially for the call funnel, right? But we won't go that in depth in this video. This will mainly be webinar focused. And then we have our sales team over there, our sales team best practices, which are also a very big part of getting in that money, as most of you guys should probably know. Okay, now and as you can see over there, the further we move to the right, the fewer leads we can influence, because everywhere is a drop-off. So we have a main drop-off, obviously. It isn't even a drop-off because leads aren't in there yet, but we have a main percentage drop-off in the registration rate. Then we have another drop-off in the actual, like, between the leads who attended and those who actually, between the leads who registered and those who actually show up. So this is basically a show up rate. Then we have the conversion rate, and then we have our close rate, and so on, okay? So our show up system is designed to minimize the drop-off between sign up and presentation. And here's why our show up system is so dialed in and why it's so important. Well, there are basically two different main mechanisms. Obviously, show up, and on the other hand, the warm up. This was what a lot of people aren't aware of. They just think we're gonna spam in some reminders, and this is what most of you guys do out there in the high ticket niche. As I can see, it's simply like the default reminders, and you think people are gonna show up. No, you need to pre-sell the call or the next step in your funnel. In our case, it's a webinar. So when we're talking to cold leads, they need to be nurtured as hell, right? Their commitment was high in the moment of their registration, but if you don't nurture them, this warm lead will cool down and won't show up because he's completely cold. He doesn't know you. There's no commitment in there. And you need to make them more aware, sell them the show up, like tell them why they can't miss this event because it's going to be so valuable for them. So educate them, shortcut the organic sales process, okay? What do I mean by that? Well, when we talk about the organic sales process, this is basically how a lead would normally get into your funnel, watch your videos on YouTube, maybe write you an email, whatever, build trust over weeks, even months, okay? And then this lead will obviously be much more committed because he knows the kind of value that you can provide. Now, when you're running a completely cold campaign as a webinar, for example, you need to shortcut this same exact process in less than a week, okay? That's why a lot of content frequency matters. And we're going to talk about all this in a second, guys. But let's not get ahead of time. Let's do everything step by step. And obviously, we need to handle their objections, introduce proof, authority, and sell them on our USP, on unique selling position. Now, with a warm-up, you will automatically increase the show up, so it basically interacts, okay? The warmer a lead is, the more likely he's to show up. Mechanisms interact with each other, and we increase our show up even more through reminders and frequency, but mainly, as I said, value, okay? I would like you to think about this analogy. Let's say your favorite musician, whoever it is, okay, is hosting a concert. Your favorite pop artist, your favorite rapper, whatever, okay? So how high is the probability that when you, let's say you're going to get a free card for that, right? A free sign up. How high is the probability that you will show up to the concert of your main favorite musician compared to the probability that you will show up to the concert of a random guy you never even saw before, right? You maybe you saw an ad, you thought, oh, maybe this might be cool, but you don't know this guy. You never even heard an actual song, right? You just saw this event, it's free, so why not sign up? Now imagine the random musician hammers you with content. Every single time you scroll on Instagram, you scroll on Facebook, you open your email folders, he hits you with a free soundtrack that he just dropped and just released it for free. He hits you with his music videos, with some storytelling files, whatever, with people who he's worked with and so on. And slowly you're starting to like him, right? So how much more likely would you be to show up after this show up sequence? And this is essentially what this entire video is about, okay? I think this makes it very, very clear. So you need to get in front of them as often as you can in as many ways as possible. And then you need to share value. If you're just yapping out there and sharing bullshit like, I wouldn't show up, better you leave your show up sequence there, right? I wouldn't implement the show up sequence if you don't have value to share. Like nonsense, right? This will even turn people off. That's why I'm always saying, yeah, you need to sell the how and not the what. In my opinion, sell the what, man. Yeah, for real, sell the what. The more what you're giving me, the more I will want from what you're actually selling. And if you're actually selling something valuable, you can never, ever compress this in a show-up sequence, okay? Especially if it includes some for your components. So, first of all, let's talk about the entire human psychology. And we've got the book, Influence Anywhere in this book thing here behind me. So basically, familiarity bias, based on Robert Cialdini's Influence book. This is, well, for me at least, the first time I read about the familiarity bias. So, as we can see in this very nice diagram, here's a amount of familiar things, unfamiliar things, and things I like. And obviously, it relates more with the familiar things, because familiar things are the things you like because we're familiar with them, right? Makes sense. So we have a tendency as humans to trust things that we are exposed to repeatedly, like our family, for example. This is where the entire word familiar emerges from, okay? And with each content piece a lead consumes, their trust gets stronger. And even though they might not notice it consciously, subconsciously, you're building trust just by them seeing you all the time. And by the way, I heard that this also works for girls. So if you're still in the dating scene or whatever, I heard that this works too, like psychology, simply like getting exposed more and more, and you will get familiar and so on, okay? So another effect is the mere repetition effect. As you can see over there, Apple who wants their stuff, and then they're hammering you, repeated exposure, and these things are the best, right? So the mere fact of exposure, of getting in front of someone, makes us familiar with them and enhances trust. So what we want to do is we want to have a very, very high frequency of touch points with this lead before the event, for example, okay? And repetition makes them familiar. It's like hitting the gym. The more you repeat, the more reps you get in, the more familiar you will get with an exercise. Same thing here. Okay. So the most important thing is that you meet the leads where they actually are in their journey. And when we think about the stages, they're basically the initial contact. There's more information, the more information stage, which is generally the stage that these leads are in after you sign up. Okay. And then we have the understanding value section. So the understanding value is where they slowly it begins to click. They get this aha moments and so on. And then they need even more value. They need, you need to handle their final objections and so on. And then they will complete the deal eventually. So meet them in their journey. After the initial contact, they need more information, simply, okay? You don't need to handle objections first. And that's why I'm always saying, like, all these guys saying, you student proof, student proof, student proof. Obviously, that's important, but if a lead isn't even sold on your entire business model or vehicle first, whatever, depending on the awareness level that you're targeting, obviously, or on your system, on your unique selling position, why should he care about someone else doing something, right? Just be aware of that. Okay, do not sell them to them yet. You can tease your offer, but don't mention it, especially if it's a webinar. We don't want to mention our offer, right? We want to make them watch the webinar, get some insane value, 2 hours. One of my friends is doing this very, very well. He's like building 2-hour value sessions in his webinars, and I'm like, yeah, go for it. I need someone to get hard sold too, right? So first earn their trust, provide them insane value, and make them like you, and then see you as the authority. Okay. Now we know more or less why show up rates matter, why they matter very, very much, and why a cooked show up rate will destroy your entire campaign. And I'm talking about this with a lot of experience because we're currently working with one of our clients with a show up rate of around 10%, and we got just 30% last week. Then another decline. But currently we implemented just this exact Hamilton sequence that I'm going to talk about with you in a second. I'm going to show it to you in the Ads Manager as well. So for all of you media buyers out there, yeah, you're going to see it right now. So how can I actually get in front of my leads, you might be asking? Well, obviously there are different vehicles with a different use and with different benefits, to be honest, okay? But you need to do it right. First of all, there's a website. Then we have our ads. Then we have our text reminders, for example, on WhatsApp. We have our SMS. And we have our email sequences. These are generally the exact, not conversion, but show up mechanisms that we use. So here are the best website best practices. And I thought, why not show you one of our webinar registration pages? To be honest, I think we could still improve it. Since I've been doing some research on this as well, I'm also learning all the time. Well, first of all, we have our thank you VSL, which is essentially a 3-minute video where we're going to congratulate them, their behavior. We're giving them instant gratification for that with a compliment and so on. And then we're reminding them of the most important steps, which is essentially joining the WhatsApp group. This is an automatic WhatsApp invite link. Then we have an add to calendar link where we also include the event location already, include some details, some calendar reminders there as well. You can simply set this up. This isn't too difficult. We're making them aware of all the stuff here below on the page, all the FAQ videos over there. As you can see, how much can I expect to make? How much time does this take? How much will this business cost me? XYZ. What I think what we should definitely do there is an urgency video. So why should I join your webinar right now? And then you're going to go hard on urgency, like occasional urgency, might be even price increases, whatever, okay? So this is definitely a video that we should add there as well. I'm going to do that. And people are actually watching these videos, guys. Be aware of that. It's not like someone just hits this page. After someone registers for a workshop, he's very, very high intent. And this is like literally the best chance that you get to get as much value as possible in front of this lead. Okay. And most importantly, get them all the links they need. So what we could do here as well, I mean, we've got the event link already in there, but we could simply add another step there below with the webinar jam, exact event link and so on, and emphasize the date again, because you want to get as much reminders, as much value in front of them as you can. And then we're providing them some value as well in the VSL, because it's more or less, we've got a rag VSL for this lead for this client as well. But essentially, a thank you VSL is probably one of the best chances for us to deliver some free value and make them understand that we're not a complete dumbass, right? Okay, breakout videos. As you can see over there, a lot of breakout videos that you should definitely do. They are objection handling. We're going to talk about all the content that you should include in general in all you show up assets in just a second, okay? But yeah, this is essentially how we structure our website. Thank you VSL, WhatsApp group, calendar link, and then our breakout videos, okay? Now, make sure they transition from your website to your other shop mechanisms, because obviously you want to make sure, now once they register, they obviously in our email sequence, but then you want to make sure they join the WhatsApp group. So what do? We design a lead magnet, which is essentially another nurturing asset for a completely cold lead. And if your lead magnet is styled in and looks nice, they will be more likely to show up as well, because they're already getting a lot of value for free. And this obviously talks to the human bias of reciprocity. That means when someone gives me a free gift, I'm more likely to use something in your favor, which could be show up to your workshop or even buy your offering. So what you want to do is put the lead magnet in your WhatsApp group and then emphasize that they only get the lead magnet when they join your WhatsApp group. You can obviously also do this on Telegram, but we prefer WhatsApp for a couple of reasons. Now, how do you measure effectiveness, you might be asking? Well, there are different ways to do that. First of all, a WhatsApp sign-up rate. This is something that we are very aware of, and we just want to look like, okay, is WhatsApp the right vehicle to host our text message reminders for this kind of demographic? And then we measure the kind of the number of WhatsApp signups against the registrations. Then we look at our thank you VSL click-through rate right on Bestia, and our thank you VSL retention rate as well. Is there something that we can improve? To be honest, this isn't the highest lever in your entire funnel. Rather make sure that your ads are dialed in, and yeah. But this is definitely something you can implement long-term once your ads are dialed in. Then our emails, our second show-up mechanism. Okay, so you need to send at least 20 value dense emails, especially if you have like a 7-day, 8-day webinar launch campaign. You want to hammer these guys with emails, maybe even more. Maybe why not send 25? We've got around 20 for a lot of our clients. And the email should be insanely valuable. I've got so many feedback from leads who like, don't bore us with student win stories. Don't bore us with results. Like I see so much copy out there in the space, just talking about results, but not about actually delivering value. So education, what is this whole business model about? What is the service that you're selling about? Why should it matter for me? Why should I be able to do that? Contain a lot of sales asset in there. The more you can, the better. For example, we have one of our sales assets is our YouTube videos. Basically, we're getting our clients to record YouTube videos about one webinar pillar, for example, or about just a guide in general. Even an objection handling video is great. And then we want to include some free PDFs as well that we got there laying around. We can literally create them in 5 minutes based on our database for all of our clients that we're designing in our AI projects. And then we want to make sure they are actually valuable if they're based on our clients' contents, right? And then we get something like the Gamma board. So my business partner created this one. I love it. I just remixed it over here. This is basically Gamma board on Amazon Wholesale, why it matters, how this compares to other things they tried. Then they got a lot of YouTube videos. Okay, meet the person, how it works, blah, blah, blah. People who've done this before, student proof, objection handling section. This is like just a sales asset, what your first days will look like. So essentially all the pillars of value are combined in there, and we're going to talk about the pillars of value in just a second. So this is what we guys are doing in our email sequences. We're including these gamma boards in there, right? Just to make sure we really hammer the leads and send them from one page to the other one. You could also resend them to a special webinar confirm page. I think for one of our clients, we've got this as well. I won't show you the domain right now, but you can think about this. It's basically a confirm page where we just got a bunch of student videos and we're sending leads over there. So basically the same stuff like a gamma board as well, just in a different format. Because keep in mind, leads convert or show up differently based on their behavior. Okay. Now, email deliverability. Oh yeah, this is a main problem here for a lot of guys. So without a native email sender or the domain best practices, your emails will land in spam. And I can't say this enough. Deliverability is one of the biggest levers you have. So it doesn't matter what's written inside of your emails if the emails go to spam, right? So track your open rate and your bounce rates, because bounce rate are an indicator for how fucked your domain health is going to be. Can you use Go High Level? A lot of people are asking me this. Well, essentially, yeah, you can. As you can see over there, this is like the exact webinar where we've seen the 38% show up rate, and this is just our email engagement on completely cold traffic. As you can see, 70% open rate, 60% open rate, because the deliverability was completely dialed in. So, and this was Go High Level. This was a custom domain, right? So get your domain records in place, or simply use a native email sender. There are a lot of native email senders out there. They have other disadvantages, what something like Go High Level doesn't have, obviously. But this way you don't have to care about domain records, and it can get a bit nerdy. So if you need help with all of this implementation and so on, reach out to me on Instagram. We're going to make sure we dial it in for you. Then use warm-up softwares to foster your domain health. There are a lot of warm-up softwares out there. I'm using a couple of them for my own domain as well, to make sure when I'm doing some outreach, I'm not landing in spam, because I'm also sending them from a custom domain, right? Just stuff that you can do. Then SMS best practices. We generally send 6 to 8 reminder texts over the entire campaign duration, 4 of them in the last 24 hours. This is also where you want to dynamically increase the volume of your hammer ads, which we're going to talk about in a second, and our emails as well. Okay, and these contain the SMS generally contains it's like a very, very short text. It could be something like, "Hey John, yo, the masterclass is coming up in 1 day. There's only 1 day left until the masterclass, until the workshop. Make sure you show up prepared. And if you haven't done it yet, join the WhatsApp group. Click here, WhatsApp group link." And then something like, obviously on the exact time, 50 minutes after, we're sending the webinar live room link as well. Then we have a WhatsApp best practices, and this is interesting because a lot of people aren't doing that. And I mean, WhatsApp group, one way they like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So essentially, they're still working. What we guys are doing is we have a WhatsApp group and an individual sender, which is basically an automation or a setter. So as you can see over there, for one of our clients' webinars, we had 860 members in the WhatsApp group. I think we had more in there, but I took the screenshot afterwards, after the campaign. For another client, around 800 members in there. And currently, because we're hosting webinars in another market, we have around 5,000 people in different WhatsApp groups, because you can only have like 1,000 people in one WhatsApp group, a bit more, about 1,040, something like that. Then we share 3 to 5 reminders a day in the WhatsApp groups. The reminders, they're not reminders, I'm sorry, it's basically value-based stuff. 4 to 6 personalized value reminder videos, where offer owner basically sends a 2 or 3 minute video about a certain topic that we're going to talk about in a second. YouTube videos, Gamma board, sales assets, all the links. So essentially very similar stuff to your email sequences as well, right? Just making sure it's kind of in a more native format. It seems like more as if the founder would be speaking. You can also send in a couple of voice notes. I think we should prepare some of them as well. And yeah, client testimonials, and a very, very important thing, what we do is polls. So we want to send in polls to assess our lead quality. So we're asking them, where are you at right now? What, more or less, we're indirectly asking them, financially qualifying them, and asking them for their awareness level, what they want to focus on. And we could even use after the webinar, like something like a feedback campaign. What did you like? What did you want us to improve? Stuff like that. And keep in mind, the WhatsApp group becomes an asset that you can leverage later. So when we're hosting a new masterclass 2 or 3 days or months afterwards, we would spam in a link with something like, yo, if you've missed it, by the way, I'm hosting a new one with some new valuable stuff you're going to learn, and so on. Yeah, WhatsApp GHL integrations and personalized messages. We spent around 2K on that. And then, yeah, this is basically our individual messages that we're sending, they're personalized, either like automated. And for example, for the honest brands webinar, we spend around 2K on that. We have like around 4 reminders. Then we want to heavily, this will heavily increase our show up rates. Okay, so like just think about is you individually getting a WhatsApp message from the offer owners, be like, obviously it will increase the show up rates. And what we also do is pre-webinar setting. So we're getting sometimes one of our DM setters in our account, and he basically DMs all the leads, make sure they're like hyped, sends them some assets and so on. Okay. Then we get to the spicy part. Most of you guys probably have been waiting for the meta ads practices. And we're leveraging Jeremy Haynes's Haminem strategy, which is essentially a value content-based engagement ad strategy. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to get a lot of volume with a lot of frequency and a lot of high creative diversity, all containing immense value in front of the leads. Okay. And it must contain nurturing content. It must contain valuable content related to the masterclass workshop coming up. So what we do is we have a short form campaign and we have a long form campaign. In our short form campaign, we want to have 25 to 35 videos, which are generally something like educational reels, custom scripted ads I prefer custom scripted ads. Okay. Then FAQ videos. This is content repurposing we're going to talk about at the end of this video as well. So what we want to do is we want to take these FAQ videos and include them in our Hammer campaign. Okay. And then podcast fragments, event reels, client testimonials, chop ups, basically not the entire video, a short form. It should be around like 120 seconds max. Okay. Because Instagram has a 180 second limit where it then limits you reach. So keep this in mind. I just want to show you right in a second. Then we also have the long form campaign. In the long form campaign, we have 15 to 20 videos, basically YouTube videos. So we're asking clients to send us the YouTube videos, value-based webinar sections from previous campaigns, BSL sections, so sections of the BSL that they should watch again, podcasts, long form content interviews, any kind of long form copy that you have. And it's very effective because a lot of leads think about this. As I said, leads convert differently. And for some kind of leads, a reel, which obviously will get more reach, is very compelling to them. They will show up because of a reel. Other leads need more information, profound stuff. And this way, we are also targeting these leads as well. And we're taking a lead from short form to long form. Okay. Now let us dive into the ads manager. And I'm going to show you more or less our campaign setup right now. So what we have right now is we have a Hammer campaign. We're currently spending $100 on, and it's a engagement campaign. And as you can see over there, we've got 27 ad sets. Okay. So 27 ads. We've labeled all of the different ads in there. So this would be student win, objection handling, student win, item liquidation, just like something very related to business model, more profound questions, and so on. And our campaign is basically set up like this. What we then have is when you go over there, for example, to your ad set level, you can see we're optimizing for through place. And what we do over here with all of our audiences, we basically have our Hammer audience, which are the leads who signed up. And then we're excluding people who are who have watched at least 3 seconds of this exact video in this ad set. Okay, so if someone has watched 3 seconds of this video, he will rotate to the next ad set level. And this is the Jeremy Haynes best practice. And it's working extremely well for us, to be honest. After implementing this, we had another campaign set up, but after implementing this, our campaigns significantly went up. Some placements won't go too much in depth in there. But as you can see, we've got custom audiences related to the title over here for all of the videos. So if one of our leads watches 3 seconds of a video, you will get sent to the next custom audience. And then we obviously have our videos in there. Some best practices as there as well. We're sending them to another confirmation page. I won't go too much in depth in there. This is stuff we just have for our clients, but yeah, so a lot of different ad sets. And this is just a short form campaign. I won't show you the long form campaign, Red. No. Okay. Now, be aware that this Hammer Them campaign only fires if you've got around 100 leads in your custom audience. If you're spending a decent amount of money, even not that much, you should have that 100% for all of that. Okay, just keep that in mind in terms of the numbers. Well, this is essentially how we structure our ad campaigns in the Ads Manager, our Hammer Them campaigns. And this is probably the highest leverage that you have, because just think about your leads saw you on Instagram or on Facebook, and then you're getting in front of them there, and they want to appreciate it, right? This is like the exact platform where your leads actually came from. So it will have a higher result. Okay, now, what should these show up sequences be about? And this is the most important point of this video, because if you don't understand the psychology behind something like a show up system, or why we're doing this entire stuff, or what you should talk about, you can send out some weird videos out there, but they will never target what your customer actually cares about, right? And they just will get turned off. They won't show up, right? So I want to think, let's think about this way, okay? About the 4 pillars of value. Value is essentially a belief shift. So if you can shift the beliefs of someone and provide them with some more clarity on something, you're providing them value. So what we want to do is we want to share, first of all, foundational insights on the business model and so on. Then we have something like deep dive answers. So this would be more step-by-step guidance. So something like for more aware people as well, right? Then we have objections that we're handling and expectations as well. Well, what are foundational insights? Foundational insights, it really depends what niche you're in, but this could be something like, how does your business service actually work? Like, explain it. What is the vehicle? How do the numbers look like? What are the economics? How does it compare to other models in this exact space? How does it compare to completely different vehicles, right? What common mistakes do people make when they ignore what you're teaching? Who benefits from applying what you do? What do I need? What are the basic requirements I need to have success with this, right? How does this entire model compare to other models? Who's this model best suited for? What makes your approach, what makes you different and superior, and why should I see you, if I'm the lead, as an authority? Okay, then list some client results of this. These ICPs can relate to, and this is where client results actually shine when you use them as a way to explain foundational insights, for example, or objection handling. And also, a foundational insight could be, why are you hosting this workshop? This is something a lot of people are asking us. They want to know the why, right? The what doesn't matter that much. They want to know, like, why should I do this right now? Why does this matter for you? Why is your approach superior? Why is your business model superior? Okay. And then I wanted to show you just right now, real quick, some Hammer Them ad copy that we've written for one of our clients. So essentially, how does Amazon work, and why is it different from every other business model you probably tried in the past? We're not creating demand, we're tapping into demand, we're selling boring products. That's it. My student, blah, blah, blah. There's no fancy new product that we slap an unknown label on. The shooting against private labels, by the way. Instead, we're selling brands everyone already knows and we trust directly from suppliers, the selling suppliers, Walmart users, and so on. Basically explaining the business model, right? And then we have something like the future-proof angle. This is obviously talking to you a bit like the security, like why, because people are unsure, they want some more clarity, and we're providing them value, why their investment is safe if they investigate in an Amazon business, okay? And we shoot against some other stuff like stock market and so on. I won't go too much in depth on the copy here right now, but I think you should get it very well. Then we have our deep dive answers, and these are answers to follow-up questions that you should anticipate in your sales process and already answer before they actually arise. Okay, so this would be practical implementation. Well, now you've explained me the business model, but what steps are actually involved? What are the main steps a beginner needs to master to go to this journey. And obviously, guys, this highly depends on what kind of awareness level you're talking to. For example, when I'm talking to more problem-aware people, needs convinced demographic, I would highly focus on explaining the business model in general, and I wouldn't focus too much on explaining all the different steps involved. However, if they are solution aware, you could reinforce them with the business model, but then essentially emphasize on your unique selling position, on your unique system or strategy that makes things different. Okay. What methods do you use to achieve the outcomes? What help, resources, or accountability is provided along the way? And what we always do in our messages, we teaser stuff that you will later get in the office. For example, when I say something like, yo, by the way, a highly important part of finding, building an Amazon business is finding reliable, real suppliers, right? Now, look, obviously there are ways how you can find suppliers. Check out this YouTube video about this as well. And here's essentially how we do this. Use X, Y, Z, and so on. Then explain steps. But then also teaser. And by the way, at the end of our workshop, you will learn how you can get access to my very own network of wet-head suppliers, so you can skip all the stuff and save yourself a lot of time and effort and so on. So we already tease without obviously revealing the pitch. Now, how long it starts for them to see results? How can I measure success along the way? A lot of these common questions, right? Example for deep dive answers could be like when someone asks you, yo, why is coffee, by the way, today just a tea, from this cafe over there is so good? You say, yo, they use high quality beans. Now the next question might be, yo, what do you mean by high quality beans? What are high quality beans? And then I explain they roast the beans at a precise temperature and grind them fresh for each cup, which brings out the optimal flavor. That eats like, oh yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm gonna go to this cafe and buy another coffee, right? So what we have over there as deep dive questions would be, what's the real difference between buying at Walmart and sourcing directly from suppliers? Then we shoot a bit against another business model. We have, why is now the right time to start an Amazon business instead of waiting? Some student proof. Okay, this is an urgency related asset. This could also be an objection handling asset, right? A lot of these pillars interact. How do I actually find profitable wholesale products? Use AI software to do stuff of that. We kill them, we make them hype. And then obviously also our Gamma board has a lot of these deep dive answers. Okay. Now, next very, very important step would be objections that you want to include and handle. So everything that we're going to talk about applies to your email sequences, to your WhatsApp copy, to your not to your SMS reminders probably, but to your Hammer Them campaign, obviously, like, and to your breakout videos, to your website back registered page, best practices. So think about what are the common objections your ICP could have. The common objections related to the webinar, not to your offer yet. This is another step. Be very, very aware. I see people then like having objection handling videos about the actual offer. And it makes no sense. The lead isn't that aware. He isn't product aware yet. We need to make him product aware through the webinar. And the webinar is a much better conversion mechanism to make him product aware than a simple VSL. Okay. So that's why your objection handling video should be rather tailored to the webinar. So objections related to the vehicle, the method, to you as an authority, to their own capacity, to if they even need this. Will it be worth my time? Is the webinar just a sales pitch? Okay. Objection related to the timing, to their success, to the time they need for this, to past failure, or if I failed in the past, can I make this happen, to competitors? Yeah, this is an example. This is rather like for a call funnel, so we don't need this. And yeah, for example, why should I believe I can succeed when most people fail on Amazon? I'm not tech savvy and don't know how to use software. How do I know Amazon wholesale works and just isn't another scam? Like stuff like that people will want to know. And then some student proof to handle objections. This is where student proof testimonials actually shine. Then we have our expectations, which is basically could be laying down the step-by-step process to success. We break down their journey into clear stages. We set timelines and realistic expectations for when results appear. We are upfront about the time, work, and commitment they need. We share relatable examples, and we try to future pace them with our expectations. We try to future pace them. Okay, if you're putting in 8 to 10 hours a week, here's what becomes realistic. Just, I'm not guaranteeing you this results. I can't guarantee that because it's tied to your very own effort, but here's what becomes realistic. And look, this is actually what worked for a couple of our clients, like John, for example, who was in a very similar situation that you're in right now. He actually didn't know nothing about Amazon. Yeah, maybe he started, sold to a couple of his suppliers. He sourced a couple of products, but he's failed because he hadn't a real system that actually solved what he was looking for and gave him a predictable outcome for a fixed input, right? And that would go with stuff like that. Okay. So how soon can you expect to see results? Okay. I won't bullshit you. However, okay. Right. And then what I want you to really understand, right, at the end of this video, which is probably the most important asset here, let's say, insight that will save you a lot of time and a lot of effort and will make your entire messaging very congruent, is content repurposing. So you want to take an email, for example, take the email content and turn it to a short form hammer ad, to a reel. Okay, obviously adjusting it a bit, but maintaining the same message. You want to take the best performing email section and craft it to a WhatsApp message. You want to take a client testimonial video on YouTube, hand it to your editor, turn it to a hammer ad, right? Doesn't even need to have crazy cuts. You want to take a hammer video, turn it to an email, right? You want to turn an FAQ video to a hammer ad simply by uploading it into Meta, maybe chopping out some parts in there that aren't in need. Same thing for a webinar. Turn a webinar part, the value part, to a hammer ad. Turn a webinar part to a YouTube video. Okay, content repurposing. Save yourself some time. Leverage what you're producing all the time. Okay, and this is essentially the exact system behind how we've hit a 38% show up rate on cold webinars. Now, obviously, I'm not showing you everything in depth because this is stuff that we're then implementing for our clients, and I can't share all the free source in there. But this gives you a very, very, very good overview of how you could leverage this key principles that we've been talking about, this key conversion mechanisms, why it matters, the best practices for all these different mechanisms, what you should actually write your copy about, and obviously the executing side of things is your work then. Or you decide to work with us guys and we come in there, implement all these practices based on our internal templates, based on our internal strategies that I've just been talking about in this video, on your very own business, and we make sure we dial the show up sequence in not only for you webinar if you're hosting one, but also for your calls, if you're signing your offer in a sales call, and for every single kind of event where you need people to show up. Okay, so if you want to work with us guys and come in there, and if you've liked what you've seen, you can click below and either book a call with me directly on my website, growinginfo.com, or you reach out to me on Instagram. We have a quick chat, simon.asman. Okay, and with this being said, guys, take care.